Hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of the Ataraku Effect. As always, I'm Claudel Kamgan, and today I'm super excited to be talking to Mabinyolami Okusaga, and we'll call her Mabs. That's how she goes for the rest of the episode. We're going to talk about her whole life, basically, from Nigeria, Lagos, all the way to where she is right now, New Haven, Connecticut. Mabs, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before even getting to on your story, let's talk about the past couple of months. So you are right now officially an Yale SOM graduate for the class of 2020. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So your last semester was kind of complicated because the coronavirus struck the whole world starting, we can even say, at mid-February. So how did that affect you?
At first, I felt like the whole world was ending, and luckily for us, we had rounded up the first half of the semester, so we were on a break then. But then I was extremely nervous of how I was going to cope during the second semester. I was like, dude, like, the world is ending. How am I going to concentrate in class? How am I going to keep up with my grades? How am I going to, just be a good student, But eventually, I think schoolwork kind of like flooded all my thoughts out. Like, cause school is hectic, So the workload, the assignment. I used to be obsessed about tracking the COVID news, but once school started, like, I was even surprised at myself that I had, like, for weeks I wouldn't like even check the tracker to see how the situation is and stuff. So yeah, but in I kind of like got used to the virtual school. I would say it turned out great. The school was really understanding in organizing the virtual classes and kind of like reassessing how they were going to evaluate us for the final semester.
Got it. I quickly went through the same thing on the not checking the news anymore because I realized that it was adding more anxiety than anything else. I get to a point where whatever I was learning from the news didn't make me feel better. You see, it's kind of strange. Like, you want to be aware, but at the same time, I'm like, wait, but if at the end of the day I go to sleep a lot more anxious than before, then what good does it do to me to check the news? So I can understand that.
Yeah, so I kind of just resigned to the fact that if I was okay, I'm in my room, I'm not going out, my friends are okay, we all stay in the same complex. So it wasn't like an isolation thing for me, because I had people that I could like go to their houses and have lunch or give them gifts and stuff like that. And my family, I could still talk with my family and they're okay. And I think to a large extent, that's still good. Instead of me getting depressed and sad about every other thing that's happening in the world.
Did you have any so I know my last semester in business school, it's both good and bad because I felt like after 1 year and a half, I was already tired of the MBA experience. I was looking forward to get back to the professional world. But also you realize it's the last 6 months that you're going to spend with the new friends that you've made in business school. So the last semester, we had a couple of trips that we organized. Like, I remember I went to Thailand. Was it the same for you? Did you have a lot of trips or adventures planned that you had to cancel? Or at the end of the day, the most drastic change was going virtual?
Well, not during the semester. One of the things I told myself I wanted to do after graduation was to like explore other parts of the world. And one place I wanted to go to was Cancun in Mexico, because some of my friends went there in last year, and I was just very jealous of the pictures that they shared. So that was like in my plan. I wanted to do that. So it was just kind of like sad that I wasn't able to to do that.
Before we move on the coronavirus subject, I know a lot of our listeners, you've been impacted maybe in other ways that we have. So Mab just shared about how it just changed her last half semester at the end of the school. Me, I was lucky because I just had to be confined at home, not going to work every single day, but I was able to keep my full-time job. So to some of you listening, we know it's not the case for you. You might have lost some family members, or being maybe sick. You might have lost your jobs. You might be struggling right now just to make the end of the month. So we definitely feel for you. Again, hopefully the global situations on the as far as the virus is concerned gets better. So, Mabs, before we just talked about the fact that you were Yale S1 graduate, and for those listening, if you're not aware, that's among the top school in the US. So it's not easy to get in, it's not easy to get out, because even once you're in, you have to your grades needs to be sufficient to be able to graduate. And even when you graduate, then there's the recruiting part, because most of the time you want to further improve your professional career. So, Mabs, what's your plan?
Oh yeah, so I'm going to be joining Cisco in San Jose as a product manager.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well.
So I know you were moving to the valley, but I didn't know specifically it was going to be in San Jose for Cisco. And I'm a product manager, so
Yeah, I saw on your LinkedIn profile. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I see that you kind of like recently transitioned.
Yeah, I started with LinkedIn in August 2019. So yeah, in a couple of months it's going to be a year. So I'm looking forward to us to share tips on being a product manager at different companies. I'm sure you'll learn a lot.
Like yes, man. Like right now, my head is like blowing. I've been attending conferences upon conferences and trying to read as much as I can, because this is also like relatively new to me. Mm-hmm. I haven't worked officially as a product manager in a tech company before, so there's a lot of learning. And Cisco is like the tech of the tech, like the back end kind of tech. So that's even more, concrete, so to say.
Definitely.
Than office. Yeah.
Nice. So I think it's going to be challenging but exciting from what I know from Cisco. Again, just reading. I don't know the inside, but I feel like you're going to have a blast. So, what are you the most excited and scared about? Because a product manager role, you have to be, as you say, you're the product owner. Basically, the product belongs to you in the sense that before releasing any new feature, you have to think about marketing, go to market, how you're going to make the whole world aware of what you're building. You have to be technically fluent so that your engineering teams, when they build your feature, you need to be able to have a conversation without the team feeling as if you don't understand the technical. You have to be close to your data scientists because you have to measure the impact. Among all of those different areas, what are the one you're most excited and scared about?
I think for me, because I don't have a technical background, I'm very scared of what to expect when I start the job itself. I know it's going to be extremely challenging. Mm-hmm. People have told me to go do CCNA, and I feel like, dude, man, like I'm too old to start learning, from scratch. Like I know what I'm good at. Like I love strategy, I love planning. Can I just do what I'm good at and continue? Like I don't want to learn any networking. Please don't publish that. But the thought of having to learn all the technical terms and speaking in Cisco's like technical language with the developers and with the engineers and stuff, that scares me like really, really much. But then again, I feel like I have been like throughout my career and my education, I've kind of like been always thrown in the deep end, mm-hmm. and I've always like managed to find myself, out. My first job, my first job, I was working in a kind of like an accounting consulting company, mm-hmm. and my boss thought that I was chartered. and I was telling him, and I was like, oh, I thought you were chartered. And so this explained why, so I was actually setting up accounting systems for our clients, and he didn't know that I was chartered. So that's just an example of me knowing that I really can't do anything, if I know that I'm a very, very determined person. I know I'm very focused. I know I'm passionate, and I can get really, really passionate about, something if I want to get something done. And the way I learn is literally by reading, and I wouldn't call myself an ardent reader, mm-hmm. but when there's a problem that needs to be solved, that's when I see myself reading all the materials I need to be able to get a better understanding of the problem itself and possible ways to solve that problem. That's how I've literally been throughout my professional career. I'm just excited at the possibility of doing this, nice. With Cisco, and I got to speak to my manager. I just recently got assigned to a team, And I told my manager that, look, I don't have any technical background, but I know that I've worked across several industries and in different functions, and I've tackled like different kinds of like business problems. So I'm sure that I'll be able to like,
catch up.
To catch up quickly too.
Nice. That's an amazing mindset to have. Especially, I remember at graduation, or even not graduation, like the second year, when some of my classmates were recruiting for tech, specifically for the product management role. I remember a lot have that concern about not having a tech background in education or professionally, but some didn't have the confidence that you have on the, I know it's going to be difficult and challenging, but because you've been thrown in a situation where you had to adapt quickly and basically kind of validated the fact that, hey, at the end of the day, if it worked out for you before, there's no reason why it wouldn't work out for you today. So I really like that mindset. And to be honest, I don't know how Cisco, I know because each company defines the product manager role differently. I don't know how Cisco does it, but I tend to think that it's important to understand the product. It's important to know how to communicate with the developers and engineers. But the best product managers are not necessarily the most technically fluent. So that's something, and again, talking to a classmate or peer at different other companies, Facebook, Google, NVIDIA, Netflix, they all say the same thing. You need to be convincing. You need to make sure that the feature you're building is actually adding value to your customers. But you don't need to know the ins and outs of how it's going to be implemented, as long as your engineering team is helping you and it's being transparent into how they're going to build that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see how it turns out for you. When are you starting?
Next month, July 13th.
July 13th. Okay, so you have another.
Yeah, it was very close. No, I don't have enough time. That's like 3 weeks away. It's too close, please.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Mabs, tell us about. Because we kind of started with the present right now. Let's go back, way back in time and talked about your childhood in Nigeria. Is it fair to say and assume that you were born in Lagos?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Lagos. Lagos girl.
Lagos girl. Nice. You went to the University of Lagos from 2008 to 2011, and a couple of years after you've gone to the Lagos Business School for your MBA. So can you tell us about your transition from Lagos to the US? My
MBA school, Lagos Business School, is within the same network school as Yale School of Management. And like I explained earlier, the MAM program is a joint degree program between MBAs from Yale's network school. It's called the GNAM network. So it's a joint degree program between GNAM network MBAs and Yale School of Management, where we get to like do one additional year after our program in the MBA. And for me, I remember during my MBA I think it was like in 2015, when a representative from Yale School of Management came to talk about the program and telling us that, we can apply. And then when I found out that the school fees was $90,000, I was like, dude, that's not from me. How much was my salary? What can I possibly earn? Like, maybe some $90,000 or $100,000. My mind just like literally canceled it. And apart from the money, the fact that it was Yale, an Ivy League school, like I was like, I didn't feel like that was for me, to be honest. And I was like, man, there's no way I can be able to afford it, and there's no way I'm good enough for an Ivy League school. But then someone in my class, his name is Kenechukwu Ude. This guy is just fearless. Like, he just like literally applied. And like, we're in the same boat. All of us are jobless. We don't really have a job. Like, where actually get the balls to like just apply like that? And so he got into the program that year. That was I think it was for the 2017 set. I might be wrong. So that was for the 2017 because we graduated in 2016, right? So I think got into that set. And then, I looked at, okay. So someone can do it. Okay, that's fine. But then I between 2016 and 2018, I started working, and we still got updates from Connecticut when he was at Yale.
Mm-hmm.
And after the program, he got a job, a really nice paying job, etc. And so for me, he was kind of like my reference point.
I see.
And I enjoyed my 2 years of working at when I was working at Page. I was working in the strategy unit, doing what I actually already loved. Mm-hmm. But I think I have a kind of like restless soul that is like constantly searching for what the next good thing is for me in terms of professional development, mm-hmm. and secondly in terms of achieving my goals. So in 2018, I decided that I was going to apply, and I applied to the third round, which was the final round, and I got in. And I didn't think about how much I was going to pay or what the school fees requirement was. Then it was 96,000 or so, and I just told myself, Mabs, just apply and get in. Then you will now think about school fees and all those kind of things. And luckily for me, there was a 30% scholarship, and there was a prodigy loan, mm-hmm. that I could, tap into. And I felt like, if I'm going to this school and I get a really good job, then the loan won't be an issue because I'll be able to afford to pay it, right? And that was what I kind of used to drive my decision to do that. So I got into the program in 2018. And I'm happy that I did, and coming to Yale as a Lagos girl, the culture shock was crazy. I don't know. There's just something different about the way we communicate. For example, Nigerians are more we use all the words, you can see me talking so much right now. Americans culturally, they're very straight to the point.
Yeah.
We prefer to build friendships and relationships even during work. We want to be your friend and work with you. But here it was get the work done first. Don't even laugh. Don't even crack any jokes. Just do the work and give us results, and then we can go out to the bar, right? So those kind of things were challenging for me. Then the food, boy, I miss my bar. I miss Nigerian food. It's just not the same. Pizza. To be honest with you, unpopular opinion, pizza is not a big deal.
Being from Cameroon, I think landing in New Haven is definitely complicated. Big cities, New York, Washington D.C., you can find Boston, which are much more diverse. I think you can find I remember my first 2 years I was in Philadelphia, which is definitely a little bit bigger than New Haven. There were a couple of, I remember Nigerian, Senegalese restaurants. So from time to time, you feel okay, if I really want to taste from home, even if it's not exactly Cameroonian food, at least it's close enough, the ambience, the music. But New Haven is a bit more complicated, I think.
The only taste from home you can get is the one you cooked in your house. And then for you to even get that, there's an African store, but things are expensive. And the Nigerian Lagos girl that I am, I would always convert from dollars to naira. I'm unapologetically, I will convert, and that will affect my decision to buy or not to buy, right?
Yeah.
So noodles that I could get for less than $1, less than 50 cents in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. Here I'm getting it for $1.5 or $2, and it just doesn't make sense. Right? That doesn't make sense. I'm still a student. As just being still a student, I had to think about how to manage my money and not spend so much on the African store and just try as much to adapt my taste to pizza.
You have to. You definitely have to. I went through the same thing, not in the U.S., but when I left Cameroon for France, and when I moved to France, they just moved from the, not just, but a couple of years ago, they moved from the franc français to the euro, and I had
So
the
what did
same.
you say?
And I had the same reflex at the like every single thing I was buying. I'm okay. How many? How much is that in what we call the franc CFA? And like, no, this no, it's happening. And very quickly, I understood that if I want to survive, I should just drop that habit quickly. Otherwise, I won't buy anything. I'll just be starving. So I can definitely relate on that experience.
I think I'm kind of like in my acceptance mode. You know what? The stages of grief.
Exactly.
Denial, anger, those 5 stages. I think I've come to like accept that. Dude, like this is it. You just have to.
Exactly.
You just have to accept.
Exactly. How quickly were you able to create a sense of community once you landed? Because, like, when exactly did you arrive in New Haven?
Okay, so the first time I arrived in New Haven was in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And after my first semester, I took a break and went back home and came back with the 2019 set.
Yeah.
Right. And with the 2018 set, I mean, like the sense of community is, for first instance, I'm coming with a set of people that we went to the same school, right? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just me from my school that got admitted to the program. So that was the sense of something we had in common, right?
Nice.
And another thing we had in common, we're all from Nigeria, and we have the same experience of landing here. You're experiencing the snow, experiencing the culture, experiencing the teaching style, how people dress. Like those are the things that kind of like make us come together and, do things together as one. And right now with my current friends here in this year, it's still the same story. We came from the same school. We came from the same backgrounds in terms of same cultural background. We're able to communicate in the same language. Mm-hmm. Like the way I would talk to my friend from Nigeria is not the same way that I would talk to like my classmates from other countries. We just have to to be really careful about how we like say our words, so that people don't misconstrue it. Exactly. But I know that when I'm talking to my fellow Nigerian person, like they understand, they get, and nobody's taking anything personal. And those things make me happy. And, it's actually very important because I missed all the craziness. Those are the little things that, kind of brings us back home and, helps me feel that I have a family that understands me and that I can always go to and just talk about things, and like other things that we do, like for example, to like improve the community. Sometimes we cook together. Mm-hmm. Some people don't cook and go about people's house eating their foods.
Of course.
Today my friends are making barbecue outside, I told you. And I just told them, I just took my plate there and told them to give me my own share. Even if I contributed the barbecue brush and the things they're using. Sorry.
No worries.
So we also do things like game nights, for example. Like before the coronavirus thing came, we used to like congregate in someone's apartment, play games, crack jokes, Yeah, so those are the things that remind me of where I'm from. That it creates for me, or it affirms for me my sense of identity. Being able to call someone my brother. I have a Ghanaian friend here. I call him my Ghanaian brother, my Ghanaian Nigerian brother. I have a friend from Zambia. We're all kind of like we kind of like still are able to like relate and interact. So.
No, I'm actually looking for a book right now that goes through the African experience in the United States, because it's, I'm guessing someone probably tried to put that on paper, but I like the way you phrase that, like the way you talk to your African brother. I think in the jokes, there's a lot of things that you're going to say, and you won't be afraid of, okay, wait, you don't have to say, oh, by the way, I'm joking, which I feel like you have to say when you talk to someone else, because we know each other. We assume that, okay, you can only be joking. I think we are, we can be very deep, or what can be seen as mean when we throw jokes at each other. You can have the same thing with, people who's not in the same culture, which I definitely understand. But again, I'm glad that at least you managed to find that quickly a sense of community, which is good, because once, again, you're in a new country, right? I think you have that sense of learning and you have to adapt somehow to your new environment. But whenever you just want to relax, you have your community with you, that you don't have to think about talking. You don't have to filter what you have to say, which is
like those things, like really, really, like I really can't like underestimate the power of community and how it has helped me, cope through the schoolwork, the stress of the semester, cope through like several challenges. Just having that community is extremely, extremely important, and we've been able to pass this information down to the incoming set. So we had this virtual panel session where we shared our experiences with them, and we just emphasize that don't you do it with community. It's literally easy for each of us to go off on our own. Why? There's schoolwork, there's job search, and when you're not getting the interviews and things like that, you're thinking about loan. You start getting really sad and stuff. So your community is what you can literally fall back to.
I'm really glad to hear that, again, specifically for our listeners either outside of the United States. I know a lot of the questions that I'm getting about not even higher education, but just education in general in the US. I know there's that fear, okay, but what happens if I'm in a school where I'm going to feel alone? How am I going to cope with the different changes? So just to sum up the two things that you mentioned, the number one, on the finance part, I think most schools in the US, the toughest part is to get the offer, the acceptance. Once you have it, in general, financially speaking, again, you have to be lucky to get a scholarship. It's not given to anyone else. But in general, depending on the school, and coming out of school, out of Yale, chances are the full-time job that you will get will be a high-paying job enough for you to be able to reimburse the loan without too much difficulty. So that's one thing. And the second part, as you mentioned, is the community. If you're not lucky enough to come to the school with a couple of your classmates from your country, then it's up to you then to find among your class or in your city, where can I go to get that sense of community? Because it's definitely make everything much easier to see that you're not going through that alone. Others are struggling exactly as you are.
Yeah.
The vocabulary is not the same. The class is not the same. So everything you're going through, chances is someone else gone through that. So the community will help you cope with that, which is extremely important. Mabs, like a lot of us Africans, education is a big deal. So between your undergrad, your business school at Lagos, and now your master in advanced management, what's next? Are you going to do a PhD at Stanford? Like what's happening?
That's an interesting question. I think I love to learn, right? And I've told myself, after graduating this Yale, I said, this is the end. But in my inner heart, I know that's a lie. I'm still going to do a PhD. Because one of my greatest passion is strategy. I'm always curious to understand how organizations decide what actions to take, and how that impacts on their performance, and how everything connects, and how everything connects with each other. And that's one field I want to explore. So one reason why I think that I'm actually going to do a PhD is because I've in my subconscious already started looking at exploring what options that I could I could take to do my PhD. Like what programs are out there, what schools are offering the course that I want. So I've already started searching. I know that I'm not going to do it. It's not going to be next year, and it's definitely not going to be this year. It's not going to be in the next 2 years. It's not.
Sure.
So, but I know that I'm definitely going to do it because that's something I'm very passionate about.
Interesting. What's your So, with your experience in accounting, your experience in digital strategy, now your coming experience as a product manager in tech, what is your long-term goal? So, you say you want to eventually do a PhD in the, I don't know, let's say it's in the next 5 years. When, I know it's a tough question, but when you look at, let's say, your dream job and that passion for strategy, where is it, number one, geographically? Number two, in terms of function, I'm assuming strategy, but let us know. And number three, I don't know, let's say when you are 60 years old, what do you want to look back and be proud of? Like, okay, I've worked my whole life towards that goal and I managed to achieve it. So, very tough question, so take your time to...
Feels like an interview, but that's fine. I'll try. So in terms of my long-term goal geographically, I'm going to think about where do I want to make impact, and I think the obvious answer to that question is back in my home country in Nigeria. Africa, yes, but I definitely want to go back to Nigeria. And one of the I worked for like 2 years. I worked for about 2 years in strategy and analytics function, and I noticed that there's a gap in how businesses in Nigeria use data analytics and their strategy development process. There's kind of like a gap there, and I feel like there's an opportunity for me to actually do something around that area.
Got it.
And that's something that I want to do. So in terms of geography, back home in Nigeria, in terms of function, I definitely want to do something I want to be in a role where I'm responsible for making strategic decisions with data, right? So I want to be responsible for solving customer problems, solving business, like improving processes, using data and analytics for that. And it could be my own company. I could set up a company. I could be working in another company and leading that whole process or functional area. But yeah, that's what I want to do, and I feel like, and I'm passionate about that. In terms of what I want to look back when I'm 60 years old. Did you say in 60 years or when I'm 60 years old?
Yeah, when you were 60 years old, what do you want to look back at and say, okay, that's the one thing I did?
That's the one thing I did. That's a hard question, though, my brother. Okay. When I'm 60 years old, I think I'll be proud to say that I was able to, like, I don't want to be what escaped my mind. Okay, but I think I want to say that I'm proud that I was able to like achieve my vision for data analytics and strategy in Nigeria. Right, so I led a company that was able to develop strategies for the government, for example, to use data to create better policies for businesses, to be able to adopt data analytics and strategy as a culture internally. Those are the two things that I want to say that I'm proud about. And yes, it might sound vague right now, but yeah, I think that with my current career trajectory, I feel like I'm in the right path.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't think it's that vague. I don't know if most people will be able to articulate what they want to be proud of, 30 years from now. So I think that's a laudable goal. And definitely I can see how the product management role will help on that, because definitely every feature you're building, you need data to decide which feature to build, and you need data after to measure the impact of the feature that you'll be building. So definitely it's a step towards that goal. And looking at you said strategy using data analytics in Nigeria. I feel as if it's a problem that we have across countries in Africa, because there's a book by a professor named Morten Johnson. I think the title is, I don't remember, but Africa, Why Economists Get It Wrong, or something like that. And his whole point is the way data is collected is completely flawed, because most of the time data is captured on a very specific subset and then scaled up to the whole country, which is missing big nuances. Because let's say you can do that in the US, because again, between Boston and New York, chances are you can take Boston data and scale it up at the New York level. You might be off, let's say, around 3 to 5%. But if you do that, I think even between Abuja and Lagos, you can be off by 15%, because they're completely different. So I'm wondering, in the goal towards using data analytics, like step number one is like data. Number one, how do you make sure that the data exists? Number two, how do you make sure the data is actually correct? Number three, how do you measure the, I forgot in my statistic class, but I think there's a confidence level on the data. So I feel like there's so many steps. Again, not the question for you. I wonder if you've thought about that, because I know in Cameroon it's, we're talking about smartphone and internet permeability. It's not there yet. So a lot of the data census is done basically by hand. Where you go to a house, you ask questions. You go to a company, you ask questions. I wonder how it is in Nigeria. That different?
Yeah, I mean, like the what do you call it? The smartphone penetration in Nigeria, I think it's relatively competitive in some cities, right? In some cities, but then even like when I was working in data and analytics in Nigeria, I think one of the key challenges my company had that I saw was that within the database, they weren't collecting the right kinds of data. I mean, like, so there's I think there are several questions. One is, are we collecting the right kind of data? Second is the data we're collecting complete? Third is, how are we collecting? Are we collecting it the right way? Is it by forms or by word of mouth? Who is entering that data? How are we collecting it? And I think the fourth one is, how are we organizing it within the system? And I think once those questions are like answered, then you can determine like how do you want to analyze this data, like all the variables, how do you want to put them together to make sense for the business, right? And I do feel like, especially for the Nigerian government, I do feel like I don't think that there's a lot of concerted effort to improve yet, like the way we collect data and how that influences policy decisions. So I think that's a very interesting challenge that I feel like even governments and businesses alike, even large businesses and small businesses face in my country. And that's one thing that I would really love to, be a part of it, in driving change and solving.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. One question that I hear from time to time, not question, but comment, people are asking, wait, but, for the past 10 to 20 years, there's been those amazing, even documentaries about Africa rising, mostly spurred by South Africa and Nigeria. It's going to be the next big thing in 2030. The active population, most of it is going to be in Africa. The youth in Africa. The future belongs to Africa. And a lot of questions that people are asking is, if it's really the case, why Google or Microsoft are not making a dent in the continent? And my answer to that is the lack of culture. Right? I think Starbucks' failure in Australia, for instance, it's not a lack of brain. It's maybe some sort of arrogance that if it's good enough for the US, it's going to be good enough for Australia. And I think that logic is definitely cannot be applied in Africa. So it's definitely a big challenge. But to me, and hopefully to our listeners listening and hearing that you have that type of goal, I'm really hoping and praying that you get there before Google or Microsoft. So we'll be rowdy.
I mean, so what I hear you saying is like there's a problem of like fits between what like these companies are offering and what the market needs.
Yeah.
For example, in the Starbucks situation you just described. So it's just literally about aligning the product that you have to the needs of the market, not just like the functional needs, but also the context, the cultural context, the political context. So that's, I mean, beyond just offering a great product itself, I also think that how you think about organizing your resources to make that product work within the context. So it could be like, what's your recruiting policy, for example? Where do you want to locate your offices? Even as much as like, even the product itself, like how do you need to like modify the features in that product to meet the market? Like those are like important questions that like for example, companies that are looking to enter into local markets. I think those are important questions that they need to like really really consider and think about.
Nice. Just the way you describe that, I think you'll be a really good product manager, because that's the type of question that you ask. So again, you're ready. You're definitely ready to start the job next month. Mabs, let's talk about your, if I can say, musical career. So how did it start? Like how, at which age? Tell us everything about it.
Oh boy, I think it started when I was in my undergrad, in my third year. Can you imagine? Like, so at some point, I joined this group and we used to like rap.
Okay.
So I was a rapper at that stage, but then I'd always had a passion for acoustic music. We had this station in Lagos called Cool FM, and they introduced me to like acoustic, guitar like music and stuff. Okay. So I mean, and then they used to play Avril Lavigne a lot, and I believe Avril Lavigne was my like teenage superstar, and I loved her sound.
Avril Lavigne.
Yeah. What have everyone? Yes, yes.
Avril Lavigne. Yeah, I remember she did the one. Just to make sure we're talking about the same one, she had a song called Skater Boy, right?
Yeah. When you say it, I know it's Avril Lavigne. Yeah, but I really like her a lot, and I always wanted to learn to play the guitar. And so when I had the opportunity, when I was in my undergrad, I did that. A friend of mine used to play the guitar too, and I learned how to play the guitar from him, and he taught me the basics. And I was still like in that other musical group too, writing. I used to write like raps and spit bars. Feels weird now, but yes, I did that. Nice. Really soft and stuff. And so like in addition to like my friends' like basic lessons, I also used a lot of YouTube to teach myself. I think that was like the YouTube parts was like maybe 80%.
Oh, so you never actually went to a school of music to learn the accord? Okay, it was all basically self-taught.
Yeah, I was self-taught.
That's impressive. How didn't you get discouraged after 2 weeks? I feel like my brain sometimes I'm so impatient. I feel like I'll just like throw the guitar on the floor after 2 weeks and say, you know what, I'm not at the Avril Lavigne level yet, so maybe this is not for me.
Like this is just like what I know about myself. Like once I like set my mind to do something, I always find myself just getting it done. Mm-hmm. It was, and to be honest with you, this was actually a lot easier when I was younger, like 10 years ago. But now I'm not like hard, right? So like, dude, like to learn this guitar, like I'll get blisters on my, on the tips of my finger, and I'll still continue playing. Like I would literally still continue playing. I wouldn't drop the guitar. And and I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but at least I'm not a beginner, right? Yeah. And so right now, like most of what I do is with the guitar is just for leisure. And the first time I ever performed to a group was this year, but I've been playing guitar for the past like 10 years, and the reason for why I did that was just to kind of like tell myself that I can actually do it. Right, although that was like, oh my god, it was the scariest moment of my life. People thought that people thought I was tapping my feet, but my legs were moving on its own.
That much pressure. So was it an event organized by the? Was it an event organized by the school, by yourself, and what was it exactly?
Yeah, it was organized by the school, and my friend sings. My other friend plays the drum, and we were like, okay guys, let's do this. Two guys, Kwame and Ayoteche, and we're like, guys, let's do it. And it wasn't really like, I think it was more in the moment than really planned. You get, so I played the guitar, he sang, my friend drummed, and every time I see that video and I see my legs shaking, like I always tell people, like, guys, this is a panic attack I'm having, like, right now. I wasn't tapping my feet. My legs are moving on their own.
Interesting.
But it was scary. The lights on my face, like people cheering. But I think it was just a great experience. And I'm proud that I did it, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah.
You should. I don't remember, that's a problem with me. Sometimes, like when I read books, there are some phrases that I just stop because they're so profound, but then I forget the name. I don't know who said that our confidence increases the more we step outside of our comfort zone. So I could see how even if it's been 10 years, the first time playing in front of people, that's definitely out of your comfort zone. So it might be super scary. You might feel as if you're underperforming, but I'm guessing you got out of it much more confident. Like, I can actually do it again and again. Right?
Yes, exactly. Like someone, I can't remember how this saying is, like when you're like on stage, the loudest voices might be like the voice inside your head, right? Like you're literally not performing as bad as you think you're performing, right? Yeah. And all that, negative talk is just you. Like the crowd is just like literally like looking at you for who you are.
Yeah. When you started playing that, was it playing the guitar? Was it purely for fun? You said you like acoustic, real living. Did you think, okay, it's going to be something relaxing for fun that I'm going to do out of it, or did you have something else in mind as why not one day be on the stage? Or I'm going to tell you why I'm asking that. So a couple of weeks ago, I borrowed a DJ mix from a friend of mine who lives in Oakland. And the goal was like, hey, I've always liked music. I've always liked, what DJ was saying. Like the transition from one song to the other, it's nice. And I think, reading about all of those Einstein and Da Vinci, they all had some musical component as part of their career. So in my head, I'm okay, you know what? Maybe music brings some sort of harmony in the way you think or see the world. So why not get into it? That was my thought process. And I also know that it's going to be relaxing because everyone say that when you play music, it gets you out of the world. So with the pandemic and everything happening, I'm like, okay, let me get into music. So I had a specific goal when I started that. But in your case, again, 10 years ago, did you have a specific goal in mind? Or was it like, okay, that sounds cool, let me just do it?
No, I mean, like, I just wanted to play the guitar, like, and I didn't really envision that I'll be performing on stage, right? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, like, I didn't plan for it to be like a career, like my major career, but I know that I love music, and I used to write music then too as well. And if at all I was going to even, go into music, it was just going to be like at the background and not a like mainstream
career
kind of career. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Again, I knowing specifically for the guitar, I know it's not an easy easy instrument to master. So kudos to you for sticking to it for the past 10 years and actually performing on stage with a band. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
So Mabs, so there's a lot happening right now, right? We talked about it at the beginning. There's a coronavirus pandemic happening. There's the death of George Floyd and the protest happening in the States right now. And you're about to leave New Haven for San Jose in about a month to start a new career. What are you currently focusing on? So you say that you're reading as much as you can on the product manager because you want to kick ass at your job, which is understandable, but is that one thing that keeps coming back to you? Is it one thing beside work again that's making you either worry or excited? Like, what's your main focus right now?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a couple of other, like, projects I'm working on. But before I talk about projects, like, regarding this, the crime movement that's going on, mm-hmm. One thing that I've come to realize from living here, actually, and from interacting with, like, other Black people, mm-hmm. is that people from Africa, like, people from Africa that are coming, to the US for the first time, don't know shit about what Black Americans are going through. Like, as an African, it's easy for you to just say, they need to work harder, they need to be more well-behaved, and things like that. And what I've come to realize is that we don't know anything. Like, we really don't know their pain. We don't know their history. And so one thing I've been doing in recent times is to, like, educate myself mm-hmm. about Black history. I'm Black, but yeah, I mean, I think that apart from the non-Black people, the other set of people that need to educate themselves about Black history is Africans that are living in diaspora.
Yeah. Because
we just don't understand that. We can't really form an opinion on, what scholars from these communities have they've read about these things. They think that policy change, systemic change is the way forward. Like, I can't have an opinion about that because they know more than me. Yeah. So that's one thing I've been doing, and most recently, mm-hmm. I saw the documentary 13th. And that was like a mind opener. Like, it kind of like really opened my mind to.
Which documentary?
13th.
13th.
Yeah, so it's about the 13th Amendment.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It was produced by Ava DuVernay. She's an amazing, the work she's doing for the Black community, I think it's just incredible, and she needs to be, recognized for it more.
Nice.
And yeah, so that's one thing. And thing I'm doing with a couple of friends from school is that we're looking at startups across the continent, across Africa, and trying to, like, bring them up to a global platform by recognizing them within an annual publication that we intend to create, right? So me and my friends have been working on that idea. It's very inspiring for me because we feel that not many of these local African startups are getting as much recognition as they should on a global platform. Mm-hmm. So that is a very, very important project for me because it's yes, I mean, I'm not on the ground in Africa right now, but I can still touch base with Africa and lift, entrepreneurs that are making impact, that are innovating, that are leading innovation, and literally change the story or change the perception of what people that don't know so much about Africa have about Africa, So we are innovative, we are entrepreneurial. In Lagos, there's so many entrepreneurial people. At work, when I was working in Lagos, like, almost all the females in my office had a side business, like, literally. So we are very entrepreneurial, we are hardworking, and we are creative. Yes, we have our own challenges, but the fact that we're able to, still rise above those challenges and create, I think that's something inspiring and is worth is worth mentioning and is worth noting is nobody.
It is.
Yeah, because despite all the drawbacks, despite the harsh policies, despite financial situations, despite cultural differences, people are still able to rise above that and create value, like actual value for their fellow citizens. I think that's something that's commendable, and they should be recognized for it. And so we've been planning this for the past 3 months, and we're looking forward to see what we get, we create out of this in the next couple of months.
Yeah, that's again another laudable goal. I think we have you mentioned it in Nigeria, but yeah, I think in Cameroon, I know for a fact through Lina that it's happening in Kenya as well. I feel like you mentioned challenges. I was trying to just list a couple, but there are so many, like just raising capital, just incorporating the company. Sometimes it can take months. Depending on the country, you don't have a clear list of what are the steps you need to do to incorporate your company. When it's time to raise money, again, depending on the education that you have, sometimes you just don't know what a pitch deck should be like, right? Like when you want to raise money and talk to venture capitals, what exactly they're expecting to see, how you project revenues from year 1 to year 10, there's so many different challenges, but indeed, yes, we still see a lot of value being created. So, looking forward. So if people want to know exactly what you and your group are working on, see how they can help, or just the company that you are helping, is there a website, or where should they go to learn more about it?
Okay, so we're still pretty much in the planning process, and so now that you mentioned it, I think you'd be a good platform where we could share our idea once we kick off, once we're ready to launch.
Nice. Yeah. I'll be there, and I'll be looking.
Just
really...
say yes.
I'll be there.
What about it?
Yes. I'll be more than happy. If it's you, the team, even the startup that your company. As you know, one of the goals of the podcast is to bring more awareness to what we're doing well on the ground or in the diaspora. So if I can help anyhow, I'll be super excited to be so. I'll be pinging you in the next couple of weeks to know how that's happening. That's amazing. And before we move on, I want to touch on what you mentioned on George Floyd, what is happening in the U.S. and Africans being there. I like how you summed that up, being in the U.S. From the outside world. Let's say if you're non-black, if you look at me or an African American, you can see, okay, yeah, there's 2 black people, so there's a lot of assumption being made. But I always tell people that I have the luxury of going back to France or Cameroon if it really gets bad for me, right? I came to the US, this is my 5th year. I came here in 2015. I've done my part to learn about the black history in America because they've been suffering for generations and generations. So there's a lot of understanding that even after 5 years today, I can't say that I understand everything they're going through. But that luxury of, I don't know if it's it's a luxury. I consider that a luxury because it's not home. So I don't know what it means to be rejected at home. That's something that I think is powerful. Like you were born here, you didn't choose to be born here, but just because of what you looked at, what you look like, because of the color of your skin. When you drive, when you go to a store, I read someone on Twitter, someone saying that being black in America is going to a supermarket and being afraid to leave without buying anything. I'm like, yes, that's true. All of those small different, small things that people don't realize that are going through. And as Africans, I've heard as you, a lot of people are having specific thoughts because, again, when you're new, you can just compare to where you're coming from. It's Cameroon or Nigeria, but being in your own country, imagine that being at home and someone saying, no, you cannot sit on that couch. Like, yeah, but that's my home. That's a feeling that I don't know if you can understand if you haven't been in a specific country. Like in the US, we're talking right now for, I don't know, maybe generations after generations. So I like that you're educating myself. I'm still educating myself, and I will encourage a lot of our African brothers and sisters to, either talk to African Americans, read as much as they can, because it's an experience that we can relate to because we are black, but I don't think we will ever get to the exact same level of understanding of what they're going through as they are. That matters a lot.
Mm-hmm. I actually like how you kind of like phrased it there, like being rejected in your own home. That's like, I think that's like the worst thing, one of the worst things that any human could ever face. And for us as like non-Americans, I think like the easiest or the least thing we could do for them is to have some empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy, and just to let them like just have an understanding of what they're going through, and see through their own eyes, instead of like just making assumptions or
Exactly.
forming opinions.
Yeah. I'm gonna plug in a phrase from our ex-CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Winner. He says that compassion is a mix of empathy plus action. Empathy is putting yourself into someone else's shoes and trying to understand what they're going through. But if you stop at empathy, you can be what is being, what a lot of the black community has been complaining about the non-blacks is like, you can have empathy, but if you're doing nothing about it, if you're being silent, you're encouraging. So compassion, empathy, plus actions, meaning, and it can be in so many levels. It can be, as we already do, showing up twice as much as work. I think most black people already do that, where at work you have to put the bar even higher because you know that you're not judged or compared the same way as other, right? It can be being in the street, as most are right now, protesting. It can be, bringing up awareness on social media. I think there's no good or bad way to do it, because I've also seen that debate of people saying, but if you don't do this, then like, no, I think everyone has its own way of expressing that, but any way you take action, I think is already a step forward.
It's good enough, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so social media has created this kind of like false, I wouldn't say like false, but just some level of expectation for people, right? And we kind of forget that even if people might not really like put on social media what exactly it is they're doing. So because I'm not posting Black Lives Matter on my Instagram, doesn't mean that I'm not donating to funds. Doesn't mean that I'm not volunteering.
Yeah. Definitely acting on your own way. And I'm really looking forward to you again coming to the Valley. There's a lot of actions about being black in tech. The percentage today, I don't remember the last. I think it was around 3% of the whole black workforce being the whole tech workforce being black. So when you come here, you will see that maybe you're already even part of it. There's a very strong black tech community. So that sense of not being alone in the new geography or function. Hopefully you will feel at home as you are right now. Mabs, just to finish on I don't want to say positive, but like joyful notes. Let's hear about your favorite African musician. So Avril Lavigne is not African, so she doesn't count.
Okay. I think so. Right now, as I've grown older, I don't have any favorites. Okay. So my sense of music is kind of like eclectic. I listen to all kinds of music. And with Nigerian music, I don't have like a personal favorite person, but I have songs that I've listened to that I really, really like.
Okay. Which one, for instance?
And I can't remember. Okay, wait, let me see. So there's there's Rima. You want to sing Do You Maybe? I mean, like, that's a good song. I like Rima. I'll always okay, look, this one, I'll always love Asha. I don't know if you know Asha. You should know Asha now, right?
No.
You schooled in France.
Asha.
Yeah, Asha.
Wait, what's one of his or her song? Is it a man or woman, first thing?
She's a woman. She sang, "There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be
on the ground." Okay, yeah. There's a fire on the mountain. Okay, okay.
Asha has, oh my God, she's really good influence in my sense of music,
Gotcha.
the music stuff. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, I like Asha too.
What's your favorite African writer?
Well, I guess it's Chimamanda Adichie.
Okay.
I like that she's fearlessly African and Nigerian, and she, of course, that she's a feminist as well, and that she's not ashamed to lend her voice to that, and she's not ashamed of her culture and her background and where she's from, and she will go out and wear what she feels is, and do her hair the African way and wear African dresses and things like that. I like that she's representing the continent, and she's I think I like that in with her doing that, like she's getting respect and recognition for her work as well.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, we definitely need a lot more like her. That's for sure. What's your, maybe not necessarily African, but in the past year or so, what's the one movie or documentary that you watched that really made a big impression on you?
Yeah, it's a 13th.
The 13th one?
That one. Oh.
Interesting.
And it did make a huge impression on me in terms of really getting to understand the origin of everything that's happening today. Like, if you don't understand why, or you haven't really formed an idea of what might be happening, or you need to verify your suspicion of what might have led to us doing this today.
Yeah.
That documentary is facts. I'm recommending it. It's a, like, I don't know how else to say this, but just watch it. Just watch it. Like, you literally understand. Like, everything will make sense. It will make sense why people are pursuing this from a policy perspective rather than a cultural perspective, for example.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's my homework for the end of the day. I'll watch it and let you know what I think of it. Mabs, before we leave, do you speak? I know the two main languages is either Yoruba or Igbo. Do you speak any of those?
Yeah, well, there's actually Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. Three languages in Nigeria, and I speak Yoruba, but not so fluently.
Not so fluently. Okay. I was gonna say, even if it's not so fluently, I think whatever you would say, carte blanche as they say. So you have either 30 seconds or 1 minute to leave a message in Yoruba. So, and don't translate it. So those who understand, perfect. Those who don't, well, learn Yoruba. That'll be your homework.
Okay, so you want me to leave a message? Let me see. Nǹkan tí o bá fẹ́, Ọlọ́run wá pèsè fún ẹ.
Mabs, thank you very much. Again, as a reminder, Mabs is a Lagos Business School graduate of 2016, Master of Advanced Management from the Yale School of Management, Yale University, class of 2020. You are an incoming product manager for Cisco starting next month. And you've played the guitar for the first time in a stage this year. We're looking forward to hear from you on all of these different fronts. Thanks a lot for being part of the podcast today. And to our listeners, Atalaku to you for staying with us. I think we've been talking for about an hour now. So, Mabs, we'll be looking forward to a next episode where you'll be telling us about the startups that you're helping on the continent. So, looking forward to hear from you again.
Thank you. This was a very enjoyable conversation, Claudel. And I'm happy to share my experience And yeah, I'm looking forward to, doing this another time with you.
Awesome. So one last question for you. If people, hearing from you, if they're based in Lagos, Abuja, Cameroon, Kenya, all over the place, and they want to learn from you, they want you to mentor them on, your path so far and what you want to achieve, is that okay? Can they reach out to you on LinkedIn or any other social platforms?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm always looking to connect to new people, expand my network.
Awesome. So if you are a startup or just a personal, anything you're doing in Africa, about Africa, and you want to reach to Mabs, I will have her LinkedIn in the show notes. So again, Mabs, thank to you. Atalaku to everyone, and talk to you soon.